group of Republican senators led by Texas's John Cornyn introduced the law enforcement tools to interdict troubling investments in Abodes Act. Now, what is that? That's the Letitia Act. And this bill, the Letitia Act, holds public officials who commit bank, tax, loan, or mortgage fraud accountable. In a statement, John Cornyn said that this legislation would empower President Trump to hold crooked politicians like New York's Letitia James accountable for defrauding their constituents, violating their oath of office, and breaking the law. And I'm proud to lead my Republican colleagues in introducing this. Now, Reagan, one of your colleagues at the Daily Caller actually went to Letitia James's house in Virginia and was basically harassed off of the lawn of this person. Do you think Letitia James would support this law?
I don't know if Letitia James would support this law, but my colleague who did go to these properties, it was incredibly sketchy, and I would encourage everyone on Newsmax to go to the Daily Caller website and watch these videos, because the videos in of themselves seem to be incriminating. You see how suspicious and awkward, and these people, before my colleagues even got to the door, started screaming, "We don't know her, we're not related to her." It's like they knew what was happening. I love that we got this topic, and as the producer was telling us in my ear, I was like, this is going to be an awesome question to ask President Trump about. And I would love to ask him if he supports this legislation, because I know he's probably going to have an incredible answer. I asked him last week about Hawley's bill on stock trading within Congress, and he called for Nancy Pelosi to be investigated. So, you know, everything's on the table for how he could respond to this piece of legislation as well.
And we covered that investigation by one of your colleagues the day that they did this, but can you remind our viewers what happened? In essence, Letitia James, who last I checked represents New York as their Attorney General, had declared her primary residence to be in Virginia or something like that to get a tax deduction, because like most smart New Yorkers, she wants to have nothing to do with the state.
You're correct. And so what my colleagues did was they went to those Virginia properties to see if Letitia James lived there, or if people who knew Letitia James lived there, if they could speak and talk about why they were living in those properties. And they claimed to have no relation, didn't know what these properties were about or what the investigation was about, which I think right there kind of proves.
And wasn't Adam Schiff in the middle of this?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Trump is a real estate guy, so he understands what's at stake here. You can get favorable mortgage terms,
Absolutely.
right? Because you can't just go from any lender. Lending is not national. You have to do it in the state you're buying in general. You can get favorable tax credits. If you have a second property, you usually have to pay more property tax on it. Which just remember how hilariously, cartoon villainishly these politicians are. We're talking about second and third homes. Why does the Attorney General of New York State have what, a second mansion in Virginia? Adam Schiff with his other Maryland property?
Because
The house I saw was not a mansion.
No,
Which
but
is
the
worse,
reason
which is
why
that-
that's because
she
she
has
wanted
slumlord.
exactly she wanted
That
to
is
get
worse.
tax credits for having this in Virginia. And you've seen almost every one of the people who was investigating Trump, the Fani Willis, right? I mean, this is a basically unwell woman, it seems like, and her whole family
and
is
her
a
lover.
total disaster now. Yeah, Nathan Williams and all of that. And then you have Tish James. I mean, are any of the people who made a career out of investigating Trump, both in elected office like Tish James, who was elected in 2018 on a campaign that was exclusively get Trump, not stop Trump. I mean, have any of these people covered themselves in glory? You look at Alvin Bragg. I mean, they are. It seems to me like if you are a Democrat with skeletons to hide, your solution is, okay, we're going to investigate Trump, and that will be enough for a long career in Democratic politics.
I mean, Andrew Cuomo was accusing Donald Trump's COVID policy of killing grandma while he was killing grandma and grabbing granddaughters.
We saw what Curtis Lewis said about this.
So
True.
Exactly why he shouldn't be mayor. I agree.
I concur, and that's why you need to vote for Eric Adams.
Eric Adams
Colby and I will have
Who's never committed a crime.
Eric Adams is corrupt, of course. But Eric Adams' corruption is hilarious.
It is.
It is hilarious. It is justifiable. He's been a good mayor.
This is the problem for Democrats, honestly. I mean, you look at New York City, where your options are a kooky Republican, an Islamist, communist, socialist, jihadist, a granny killer, and the corrupt incumbent. This is what liberal governance gets you. All of these options are bad. I do not envy my friends from college who live in New York City, who are tasked between living in that city or making the inevitable move to Florida. Maybe they can ask Letitia James. Maybe they can ask Letitia James for some real estate advice for second homes that aren't in New York.
Clearly, I mean, you know, Eric Adams all the way. Consider this my official endorsement.
Information. truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.